In the summer of 2025, the pine forest of northern Florida stretched like a green sea, its canopy a mosaic of shadow and light that had always felt like home. At 27, I was a fire lookout, stationed at Black Ridge Tower, a solitary post perched on a rocky outcrop overlooking endless acres of wilderness. My name is Maya Wilson, and for 3 years, I'd thrived in the isolation, finding solace in the rhythm of the forest, the chatter of birds at dawn, the sigh of wind through pine needles, the distant bark of a fox. The tower, a circular room with floor-to-ceiling windows, was my sanctuary. Its 360-degree view a canvas of life I was paid to protect. But that summer, something shifted, a subtle wrongness that crept into the air, the trees, the silence. By August, Black Ridge was no longer a refuge. It was a stage for a terror I couldn't name. My night shift began at 6 p.m., the wooden stairs creaking under my boots as I climbed to the observation room, my backpack heavy with supplies. Protein bars, a thermos of coffee, a worn paperback to fend off the hours of stillness. The tower's interior was sparse. A desk cluttered with maps and logbooks, a radio, a thermometer, a rack of emergency flares. The windows framed the forest stretching to the horizon, the eastern ridge a dark silhouette against a sky bruised purple by dusk. Normally, the panorama soothed me, its vastness a reminder of my place in the world. But that night, as I set my bag down, a silence pressed against my ears, heavy and unnatural. The usual dusk chorus, birds, insects, the rustle of leaves, was muted, reduced to hesitant chirps, as if the forest held its breath, waiting for something to emerge. "Standard procedure, Maya," I muttered, falling back on training to steady my nerves. I retrieved my binoculars, their weight familiar, and began my first scan, methodically sweeping each sector of the forest. The protocol was second nature. Check for smoke, note wildlife, track hiker movements. The eastern ridge looked normal, its slopes cloaked in dark green, but Carter's words echoed, sharp and insistent. Watch it carefully tonight." Carter, my shift partner, had been acting strangely all week, his usual warmth replaced by a distracted intensity. That morning, I'd found him at the eastern window, binoculars hanging and used around his neck, staring at the ridge, whispering words I couldn't catch. When I'd asked what he saw, he'd startled, as if waking from a trance. "Nothing. Just tired," he'd said, rubbing bloodshot eyes. "Double shift yesterday." But before leaving, he'd gripped my shoulder, his fingers digging in. "Watch the eastern ridge carefully tonight." His blue eyes, rimmed with red, held a feverish urgency that made me shiver despite the summer heat. The memory unsettled me as I scanned the ridge, finding nothing but shadows. My radio crackled, making me jump. "Lookout 7, this is dispatch. Radio check. Over." Sam's voice, familiar after years of check-ins, sounded strange, distant, warped, like a tape stretched too thin. "Dispatch, this is Lookout 7. Reading you, over." My voice sounded steadier than I felt. "All quiet so far. Standard night watch protocol. Out." The static lingered a beat too long before cutting off, leaving a faint hum in the air. I moved to the desk where Carter's logbook lay open. Normally, his entries were meticulous, wildlife sightings, weather patterns, hiker movements, filling pages with precise script. But the past week's entries were sparse, his handwriting erratic. Today's consisted of 3 words, scrawled in jagged strokes. "They're getting closer." I frowned, the words coiling in my gut. Carter had been off during our shift overlaps, his easy banter replaced by long silences, his gaze drifting to the eastern ridge. The logbook's shift felt like a warning, but of what? I checked my equipment to ground myself. Radio functioning, emergency flares stocked, first aid kit complete. The tower felt colder than it should, the thermometer reading 68 degrees Fahrenheit inside, 72 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Numbers that defied logic in a Florida summer. A dark shape caught my eye, draped over Carter's chair. His leather jacket, an heirloom from his father. Carter never forgot it. I hesitated, then checked the pockets. The right was empty, but the left held a crumpled note. In Carter's handwriting, a series of coordinates, followed by a strange symbol. A circle with radiating lines, marked with angular shapes I didn't recognize, like runes or circuitry. I traced the coordinates on the map table, my finger landing in the northeast sector, deep in privately owned land marked in red, Black Ridge Research Station. Off-limits to hikers, rangers, and lookouts, the area was a blank spot in our records, owned by New Dawn Research, a name whispered in ranger circles but never explained. The discovery tightened my stomach. Whatever Carter was fixating on, it was there, in a place we weren't meant to go. As dusk faded to black, I picked up my binoculars, training them on the eastern ridge, determined to stay alert. Hours passed, the forest sinking into darkness. I maintained my scans, fighting the tedium that crept into night watches. The eastern ridge remained my focus, but nothing stirred, no smoke, no movement. At midnight, I stood to stretch, the forest settling into a nighttime rhythm of owl calls and faint rustles. Then a flicker caught my eye, a light in the eastern sector, too steady for a campfire, too isolated for a hiker. I adjusted my binoculars, my breath catching. The light pulsed with mathematical precision. 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off, its glow amber, unnatural. No fire behaved this way. I grabbed Carter's note, cross-referencing the coordinates. They matched the light's location exactly. My skin prickled as I reached for the radio. Dispatch, this is Lookout 7. Visual on an unknown light source in the eastern sector. Grid coordinates Echo 9. Possible unauthorized campfire. Over. Silence stretched, the static heavier than usual. Lookout 7. Confirm exact location. Over. Sam replied, his voice tight. I checked the map. Confirmed. 2 miles east of Black Ridge Creek, half-mile north of the old fire break. On Black Ridge Research property. Over. 30 seconds of silence followed. My radio's green light steady. Dispatch, do you copy? Pressed. Sam's voice returned. Clipped. There shouldn't be anyone in that area. It's private property, owned by New Dawn Research. No camping permits issued. A pause, then, Maya, do not investigate. I repeat, do not leave your post. I'll send a ground team at first light. The urgency in his tone sparked suspicion. I'd reported campfires before, and Sam had never reacted this way. What's in that area, Sam? Static answered, the light pulsing in my binoculars, unwavering. Sam, what's out there? His voice returned, artificially casual. Probably nothing, just protocol for that zone. Stay put, get some rest, but maintain observation. Dispatch out. The shift in tone, tense to dismissive, only deepened my unease. The light didn't flicker like a campfire. Each pulse was identical. 1 second bright, 2 seconds dim, casting long shadows that stretched and contracted. I logged it, sketching the pattern, noting the timing. 0:17, Eastern Sector, pulsing light, 3-second cycle, coordinates Echo 9. By 3 a.m., my eyes burned, but I couldn't look away. The light's precision suggested intent, communication, perhaps, directed outward or upward. Carter's note, with its coordinates and symbol, felt like a key, his sparse logs a map to something he'd seen before. The symbol, a circle with marked lines, now seemed deliberate, a diagram of the light's rhythm. Sam's warning echoed, but the need to understand grew stronger. The forest felt alive, watching me as I watched it, the silence of pressure against my skin. I logged 3:04, light unchanged, no deviation in pattern, feeling of being observed. Dawn broke, the light fading with the morning glow. I exhaled, exhaustion mingling with relief, but the sensation of being watched lingered. I reviewed weather data all day, skipping lunch to search for patterns that might explain the ridge's strangeness, pressure systems, temperature shifts, but found nothing. My stomach growled as I climbed the tower stairs for my next shift. The familiar creak of the wood a small comfort. Pushing open the door, I froze. Carter stood at the map table, 2 plastic containers of pasta and garlic bread steaming in the cool air. His shift should have ended hours ago. "Thought you might want company," he said, his smile strained, not reaching his eyes. Yesterday's trance-like demeanor was gone, replaced by an overly friendly facade. "Thanks," I said, the aroma of tomato sauce filling the room. "I'm starving." I sat across from him, hunger overriding caution. "Weather's been strange," he remarked, twirling pasta. "Pressure systems aren't normal." I nodded, watching him. "I noticed. Been checking data all day." Carter kept up a stream of small talk, trail maintenance, hawks nesting, equipment repairs, but his gaze drifted to the eastern window, lingering on the ridge. After his fifth glance, I tested him. "Saw a strange light last night," I said casually, pointing to the spot. "Right there." His fork froze, pasta sliding back to his plate. "What kind of light?" His voice was tight, his eyes sharp. I described the 3-second pulses, watching his face transform. Fear and fascination replacing the forced calm. "We should check it out," he said, leaning forward, an eager edge to his voice. "Together." I hesitated. "Sam told me not to. It's private property." Carter's hand clenched his fork, bending it. "Sam doesn't understand. I've seen it before. It's been calling me." His voice dropped. "Reverend, don't you want to know what's out there? What's changing our forest?" A chill ran through me. His eyes held a zealot's conviction, his sleeve slipping to reveal a black ink symbol on his wrist, identical to the note's circle and lines. "What's that on your wrist?" I asked. He glanced down, surprise flashing, and pulled his sleeve over it. "Nothing, just a doodle." He stood, pushing his plate aside. "Look, we should head out after dinner. It'll take 2 hours if we move fast." My training screamed warnings. Carter's shifts in behavior, the symbol, his fixation. But curiosity tugged, a need to understand what had changed him. "Okay," I said, surprising myself. "Let me grab my gear." I packed my backpack, radio, flashlight, compass, first aid kit, watching Carter from the corner of my eye. He stood at the eastern window, fingertips pressed to the glass, staring into the gathering dark like a man testing a boundary. We descended the stairs, the creaks accusing, and stepped into the forest. The air shifted, the evening chorus of insects and birds nearly silent, the trees looming alien where they'd once been familiar. Carter consulted his compass, adjusting our course with eerie confidence, moving as if drawn by an invisible thread. "It's too quiet," I whispered, my voice intrusive in the hush. He didn't respond, his focus locked on the ridge. 20 minutes in, I ducked under a branch. "You seem to know exactly where we're going," he answered without turning. "I can feel it. It's pulling me." The forest grew denser, branches scraping our jackets, the space between trees narrowing. "How long have you seen this light?" I asked, navigating a fallen log glowing with phosphorescent fungi. 3 weeks, Carter said, his voice flat. "Glimpses at first, then dreams. Now I see it awake." The monotone chilled me, his warmth gone, replaced by something scripted. "Why not report it sooner?" Pressed. I did. Sam told me to ignore it. The revelation stopped me. Sam knew and did nothing? An hour in, my radio crackled. "Maya, regular check-in." Sam's voice cut through the silence. I hesitated, thumb hovering. Protocol demanded honesty, but fear, for Carter, for what Sam might do, pushed me to lie. "All clear at the tower. Nothing to report." The words tasted bitter. "Good. Next check-in at midnight. Dispatch out." Carter nodded, a silent approval, and pressed on. The terrain grew steep, the path vanishing into undergrowth. Yet Carter moved with certainty, as if he'd walked this route before. "You've never been here?" I asked, climbing a rise. "I haven't," he said, his face gaunt in my flashlight's beam, shadows deepening his cheeks. "I just know." I noticed the trees, pines bending eastward at unnatural angles, their bark stretched like taut skin. "Carter, look at these trees." He barely glanced. "They're showing us the way." His pace quickened, his breathing shallow, excited. At a water break, His pupils consumed his irises, glowing faintly in the dark. "Your eyes," I whispered. He blinked, turning away. "We need to keep moving." Rationality crashed in. We were miles from the tower, following a man growing erratic toward an unknown light. "We shouldn't be doing this," I said, stepping back. "Let's go back." Carter grabbed my arm, his grip bruising. "We're close. It wants us both." His eyes burned with intensity, his fingers digging in before he released me, turning to continue. I froze, rubbing the marks on my arm. The forest behind me looked wrong, the path reclaimed by shadows. I couldn't navigate back alone, and curiosity, stubborn, reckless, pulled me forward. What had changed Carter? What force bent trees? Through the trees, the light appeared, pulsing with the same 3-second rhythm, each flash of pressure against my skin. The forest grew denser, then stopped at a wall of fog, its edges unnaturally sharp, rising like a barrier. The amber light pulsed within, brighter, illuminating the mist. The temperature plummeted, my breath clouding, a 20-degree drop in yards. "Carter, this isn't right," I said, grabbing his sleeve. "Fog doesn't form like this." He didn't answer, his eyes fixed on the light, pupils reflecting its glow, his expression vacant. He stepped into the fog, movements stiff, head tilted at an inhuman angle, like a machine mimicking life. "Can you hear it?" he whispered. "The humming. It's been in my head for weeks." I heard nothing but silence, a pressure against my eardrums. My radio was dead, its display dark despite fresh batteries. My watch froze at 11:17, the hands unmoving. Carter moved deeper into the fog, and I followed, the mist thick, viscous, coating my skin with an oily tingle. His walk became robotic, steps precise, turns at right angles. "Carter, we need to go back," I called. He turned, his voice doubled, a deep resonance beneath his own. "We're invited, special guests. The fire's been waiting." My heart pounded, every instinct screaming danger. The fog thinned, revealing a clearing, a perfect circle 50 yards wide, its edges mathematically exact, no stumps or debris, just bare earth carved with geometric patterns. Concentric circles, triangles, lines pulling my gaze to the center. There, a column of flame rose, orange to electric blue, pulsing in rhythm, undisturbed by the breeze. It gave no heat, no smoke, its ground unscorched. Carter approached, his steps ceremonial. "It's beautiful," he whispered, the light bathing his face. "It's been calling me, showing me things." The flame quickened, responding to him. "Carter, stop," I shouted, lunging, my fingers brushing his jacket. He turned, his smile serene, eyes glowing with the flame's colors. "It's not fire, it's a door." He stepped into the flame, and I screamed, expecting agony. Instead, he stood, skin translucent, veins pulsing light, unharmed but transformed. His eyes opened, radiant, his movements fluid, inhuman. "You should follow," he said, his voice vibrating in my skull. "It wants us both." The flame widened, tendrils reaching for me, syncing with my heartbeat, calming my fear. I staggered back as a tendril grazed my face, pure terror breaking the spell. I ran, crashing through underbrush, branches tearing at me, the fog thinning but disorienting. Trees blurred into sameness, my compass spinning wildly, my watch still frozen. Hours passed, adrenaline fading, my body trembling. I stopped, leaning against a pine, searching for landmarks. A tall structure broke the treeline, the lookout tower. Relief surged as I stumbled across the clearing, climbing the stairs, my legs burning. Inside, I barricaded the door with the desk, collapsing at the radio. "Emergency at Black Ridge Tower. Carter's gone. There's something in the forest. We need help." Static answered, then Sam's voice eerily calm. "Maya, return to the fire." My blood froze. "No. Did you hear me?" Carter walked into it. "He's gone." Sam replied, "You should follow." The fire has chosen you both. It's an honor. The radio was on the emergency channel, but his words echoed Carter's. It emitted tones 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off, matching the flame's pulse vibrating in my bones. I yanked the cord, but the tones continued, sourceless. Outside, fog rolled in, thicker, climbing the tower supports. A silhouette moved within it, heavy thumps echoing from the stairs, slow, methodical. The door shuddered, the desk sliding. I grabbed the logbook, finding entries from months back. Strange light in eastern sector, pulsing, reported, no follow-up. Later, partner fixated, unusual sleep patterns. Carter's logs grew erratic. Light calling me. Sam says ignore. Can't. Need to understand. Yesterday's in unfamiliar script. 2 more for the fire. The door splintered, revealing Sam, his eyes glowing orange-blue, pulsing with the flame. Behind him, rangers I knew moved mechanically, their eyes identical. The fire has selected you, Sam said, his voice doubled. Carter has transcended. You will join him. I backed away, flare gun in hand. What door? I demanded. Sam's head tilted unnaturally. The vessels of flesh opened the way. Watchers become the gateway. The door gave way, Sam stepping in, glowing from within. I climbed the roof hatch, emerging onto the platform as Sam followed, his grip burning with strange energy. Fire watchers understand what others cannot, he said, the fog pulsing below. I fired the flare into the fog, and the world erupted, blue-orange flames igniting, revealing metallic structures hidden within. A high-pitched whine pierced my ears as Sam and the others collapsed, their glowing eyes extinguished. The distant light flared, then vanished. The fog dissolved, leaving scorched earth and melted devices in a circle around the tower. Sam stirred, confused. Maya, what happened? None remembered their actions. Within hours, federal agents swarmed the forest, FBI, CDC, military, quarantining the area. They traced the technology to New Dawn Research, conducting illegal quantum field experiments to harvest consciousness through ecosystems. Carter was never found, the clearing gone. The official report cited mind-altering tech and corporate espionage. I left the Forest Service, the tower's memories too heavy. But I kept digging, finding similar incidents in remote posts, places where watchers observe patterns others miss. The fire chose us, and I check my eyes nightly, searching for that orange-blue flicker, wondering if Carter still watches, somewhere beyond the flame.